Oh, man. Sometimes you're just creatively tapped out. You don't have anything left. And this week in particular, I wasn't sure what kind of video I wanted to make. And I was not creatively feeling anything. So the week itself is a week before I go on vacation. It's usually crazy at work. And this week was no different. It was basically giving me no breath to have some kind of creative outlet of any kind. This chicken, he started being a weirdo. So I thought I'd bring him over here and say hi. Say hi, chicken. Say good morning to everybody. Or evening, or whenever they're watching this. He's like, I'm not having it. When I feel kind of burnout or whatever, I don't have any kind of creative energy coming in, and I feel like, oh man, I writer's block or whatever you want to call it, I need to go out and do nothing. Basically, let's turn it off. So I wanted to do a video. I figured, well, let's do a video on that, because that's where I'm at right now. We'll do a video on how do we fill up our creative well. One of the ways that you want to do whenever you have this kind of issue, what you want to do is, get away from something that is making you create something, like if you're sitting down at the pen, with a pen and paper and you're about to write something, or you have an ink and quill, or you have, a brush and whatever it is, whatever your medium is, and you feel like it isn't coming, you need to step away from that and do something else. I usually will play video games to kind of relax and have fun, but this week even video games had no draw for me. I didn't really want to do any gaming at all. And so what I did was I went outside and I just said, I've got some stuff to do. I'm going to do some chores and see if just the mind numbingness of doing a chore will give me some empty space to fill in with creative ideas. I've been working on my deck in the backyard, trying to get it cleaned off. When you live up here in the Pacific Northwest, there rains a whole hell of a lot. And wood decks, after a couple of years, get pretty grungy. And so it's good to clean them off, resurface them with some kind of sealant. And so what I've been doing is I've got a new power washer. I'm power wash simulating out in the backyard. And I'm cleaning off the deck. And so it's a fairly mind-numbing job. I put on some headphones, I listen to some heavy metal, and I just start cleaning the deck. And, it's a kind of arduous process of slowly getting all that gunk off of the wood so that I can sand it up a little bit and then resurface it. And that whole doing of that process, the power wash simulating my backyard, is a good time for me to just think about other things, to let my mind wander away, because, there's not really much to going back and forth across the wood and cleaning it off. Same thing with cleaning my hot tub. I'm lucky enough to have a hot tub that we bought last year, and it needs maintenance on a monthly basis. So I'll go out there and I'll press the button that says clean. It's like, whoo, heavy work. Heavy lifting, me pushing a button. But I also need to test the chemicals and clean out the filters and shock the tub, things like that. And so doing that activity, it is boring, to put it bluntly. But the act of doing something boring when you are creatively tapped out is something that's very needed. It doesn't seem like it. Seems kind of counterintuitive to do something boring when you need to have a creative flow. But that's the whole thing, is that you really, your creativity builds up, and you can explode it onto the page or onto a video or whatever it is creatively that you're doing. But when you have nothing to give, you have to go fill that back up. And a really good way to fill that up is to do mind-numbing, boring stuff and allow your brain to wander. Sometimes just sitting outside, looking around, to chilling out with the birds and the butterflies and whatever. For me, another thing that I really hate to do and have since I was a kid is pick weeds. But it is another mind-numbing chore that I did this week that I needed to start cleaning up the weeds in the backyard. And now that it's warm enough to go out there and the rain has stopped, pick the weeds. I'm planning on putting in some grass on the side of the house. And so I've got to get these weeds out of the way and get some wood cleared and things like that. So I went out and started doing some weeds. And it's not that I enjoy the weeds, but it gives me a space in my mind to get some creative ideas and energy coming in and filling in what wasn't there previously. Back when I lived in California, I had really shitty commute. I mean, by the time I left, I was driving over 2 hours one way to get to my office, which was just awful. And so I knew I needed to make a change and moved up to the Pacific Northwest to kind of get away from the craziness of California. But one thing that I really miss was that time to myself where I was listening to audiobooks, I was listening to podcasts, and I was coming up with creative ideas that I could do whenever I got back home, which would be hours and hours and hours. And that's one thing that you can do at any time is you can just get in the car and listen to some music, pick a podcast that's an hour long, give yourself that hour to drive a half an hour to one direction and then half an hour back home while you're listening to what you already know is a 1 hour podcast. That's an awesome way to kind of get out, get away. I mean, gas is kind of pricey, at least in my area. But an hour long activity, maybe you get on a bike. If you have a bike and you enjoy riding a bike, get out there on a bike, go on for a walk. Those kinds of things are all free ways to build up your creative well that are really, really, the benefit of them is not realized until you've done it. People that have done it know, but if you think, I don't know, I have writer's block, or I just can't think of anything to paint, or I just don't feel inspired, go for a walk. It's strange how just walking around doing nothing, or listening to some music, or reading a book, things like that is just something else. Get away from the trying to create vibe. Now, once you've done that and you're ready to create, there's also some things that you can do to keep the benefits. Like, don't just go do something and then go right back to work. Let's take advantage of this period of time where we were doing mind-numbing things. Let's take ourselves out on an artist date. There's a thing called The Artist's Way. It's a book by Julia Cameron, I think her name is. And she says doing a daily journal in the morning called the Daily Pages. I think it was called, right? Writer's Pages, something like that. Anyway, Artist Pages, I don't know, something pages. When you write the 3 stream of conscious pages in the morning, it kind of gives you a dump of where your brain's at. And then also taking yourself on an artist date once a week. Artist date would be like, I'm going to take myself to the movies. I'm going to go to a museum. I'm going to go to the art store. And, we have a Dick Blick in the area, Michael's, Joanne's, go to someplace and just be there, taking in what's going on. Oh, there's new art supply. Oh, there's this new type of pencil. Ink Tints just recently released a bunch of new colors. Things like that can inspire you to go, you know what, I haven't touched my pastels in a long time. And you see them at the Dick Blick and you go, oh, yeah, let's do a pastel piece, something like that. Or you watch one of these YouTube videos. Sometimes YouTube videos are really kind of, not to push you away from watching my videos. Go check out some of my other ones, especially the one I just did on fear. But sometimes getting away from content like that to something that's more mind-numbing, that is less about taking in visual stimulus, can help you quite a bit. And make sure and keep notes on these things while you're doing your activity. I don't leave half the weeds picked like I do sometimes and just run in the house and start working on your creative project, because that's more fun. What I do is keep a notepad open. It's basically digital notes on my iPhone. I have the Notes app open all the time, and I go in and just keep a list of things that I want to do. And as I'm doing these activities, something comes to my head. I haven't done that in a while. That's a good idea. Throw it into the notepad, and then go back later, and you'll have a whole list of things that you can pull from when you're like, okay, I have the time set aside now. I'm going to do some creative activity. Look at your notepad and go, oh, look at that. there's my stuff right there. This sounds like a good idea. Oh, I don't even remember that I wrote this. I have that all the time, where I look at my notes and I'm like, oh yeah, I did write that. It was like months ago that I wrote this idea, and now I have some creative time and I'm feeling inspired. Let's do it. Anyway, that's what I do, and that's where I've kind of been this week. I'm hoping that this vacation kind of mellows me out this week, and I have some downtime with the wife, getting away from the house. I really need it. Sometimes life can get in the way of your creative flow, and you just gotta find something mind-numbing to do. And hopefully this video hasn't been too mind-numbing for you to watch. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you hanging out. Hit subscribe for me. I'd really appreciate it. And let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.